Sir, they want me to smoke. They are pressuring me, sir. And they always want me to do all the work.
Jesus Christ. Is this what has been going on here?
Sir, please, don't call our parents.
It was a bright Monday morning in Lagos, and the sun shone through the small windows of their living room. Amara, an 11-year-old girl, sat on the couch hugging her school bag tightly. Her mother, Mrs. Nkechi Okafor, was arranging some papers on the table. "Amara," her mother said gently, "I know you're nervous about going to St. Grace boarding school, but this school will help you learn a lot and make new friends." Amara looked down at her shoes. "Mama, what if I don't like it? What if the other children are mean?" she whispered. Mrs. Nkechi sat beside her and held her hand. "I understand, my child. Sometimes new things feel scary, but you are strong. You have your books, your uniform, and your heart. Be kind to others, and they might be kind to you too." Amara nodded, though her stomach felt like it had butterflies doing flips. She loved school, but she had never stayed away from home before. The thought of living in a hostel with many other girls made her heart race. Her father, Mr. Chek Okafor, came in with a small suitcase. "Are you ready, Amara? We have to leave soon if we want to arrive." Before the teachers start welcoming the new students, Amara hugged her father tightly. "I'll try to be brave, Papa," she said. On the car ride, her mother smiled. "Remember, my daughter, learning is important. But being careful is also important. Listen to your heart. If something feels wrong, tell the teachers." Amara looked out the window as the tall buildings of Lagos faded into open roads. She imagined the new school, long halls, big classrooms, and other children she had never met. Her excitement mixed with worry like rain clouds and sunshine together. When they arrived at St. Grace boarding school, the school looked huge. The gate was painted bright green, and there were children in neat uniforms playing and laughing on the fields. A woman in a dark blue uniform came forward. She had sharp eyes and a loud voice. "Welcome to St. Grace. You must be Amara Okafor," she said. "I am Mrs. Adebayo, the head of the hostel. Come, girls, let's show you where you will be staying." Amara's mother hugged her tightly. "Remember, my dear, you can call me anytime. Be kind, but also be strong. I love you." "I love you."
"I love you too, Mama,"
holding back tears. Her father lifted her small suitcase. "We will see you at the end of the term. Make us proud, but most of all, stay safe." Amara took a deep breath and walked with Mrs. Adebayo toward the hostel. The building was tall, with many windows, and the sound of other girls chatting echoed through the halls. Inside, the room had 2 beds, small closets, and a window that looked out to the school field. A girl with braided hair and brown eyes looked at Amara. "Hi, I'm Ify," she said, smiling politely. Amara smiled shyly. "I'm Amara," she replied. But as the day went on, Amara noticed something. Some of the older girls whispered and giggled when she passed. One of them, a tall girl named Towson, gave her a mean smile. Amara tried to ignore it, but her stomach sank. During lunch, the girls were supposed to eat together. Amara carefully carried her tray, but Towson and her friends laughed when she dropped a spoon. "Watch where you're going, new girl," one of them sneered. Amara's cheeks turned red, but she stayed quiet. She remembered her mother's words. Be kind, but stay strong. That evening, when all the new girls were in the hostel, Mrs. Adebayo gave instructions. "You will keep your room clean, study hard, and respect your elders. Tomorrow, classes start, and I expect all of you to be ready." Amara unpacked her small suitcase. Her uniform was neatly folded and her books stacked. She looked around the room. The other girls were laughing and talking, some teasing others quietly. Amara hugged her pillow and whispered, "Mama, I hope I can be strong like you said." Little did she know, this was just the beginning of her challenges at St. Grace boarding school. The next morning, Amara woke up to the sound of a loud bell ringing in the hostel. She rubbed her eyes and stretched, feeling nervous about her first full day at St. Grace boarding school. Her roommate Ify was already awake, brushing her braids. "Good morning, Amara," she said cheerfully. "Don't worry, Most of the older girls like Towson can be a bit mean at first, but you'll get used to it. Amara nodded quietly. She wished it were true. After breakfast, the girls walked to their classrooms. Amara tried to keep her head up, but everywhere she went, she felt the older girls staring. During mathematics, Towson leaned over and whispered to her friend, "She looks so small. I bet she'll do all our work for us." Amara's stomach twisted. She didn't want trouble, so she kept her head down and focused on the teacher, Mrs. O'Keefe, who was writing numbers on the blackboard. When it was time to return to the hostel, Amara thought maybe she could finally relax. But as soon as she stepped into the hostel, Towson and her friends surrounded her. "New girl," Towson said with a smirk, "carry all the buckets of water. You clean the floor and the tables too. That's your job. But I have my own work, my homework." Amara started to protest. "No excuses." Towson snapped. "If you want to stay here, you do as we say." Amara had no choice. She picked up the heavy buckets of water, her small arms trembling. She cleaned the floors, dusted the tables, and even polished the shoes of the older girls. Every time she dropped a bucket or spilled some water, the girls laughed. By the evening, Amara was exhausted. Her hands were sore, and her uniform was wet and dusty. She wanted to cry, but she remembered her mother's words, "Be strong." That night, Towson and her friends tried something new. They whispered, "Come on, Amara, just try smoking this. Everyone does it." Amara shook her head. "No, I don't want to," she said firmly. The girls rolled their eyes. "You'll regret it," one of them said, but they left her alone for the night. The next day, they tried again, this time with alcohol. "Just one sip," Towson said. "No one will tell." Amara clenched her fists. "No, I will never do that." By now she felt scared and alone. She wanted to tell a teacher. At lunch, she gathered courage and went to Mrs. Adebayo. "Madam, the older girls are making me do all their work," Amara said quietly. "They're also trying to make me smoke and drink. Please, it's not fair." Mrs. Adebayo raised her eyebrows and looked at Amara skeptically. "Amara, are you sure you're not exaggerating? Sometimes new girls are just nervous. I don't see why they would do all these things to you." Amara felt her stomach drop. She wanted to cry. "I'm not lying, madame." "Please, you have to believe me," Mrs. Adebayo sighed. "Very well. I will watch, but remember, you must also try to make friends and not complain too much." Amara returned to the hostel feeling a mix of hope and sadness. She hoped the teacher would see the truth soon. But the older girls seemed to sense that she had told someone. Their teasing became even worse. By the end of the week, Amara had learned to wake up early to clean, carry water, and polish shoes before breakfast. Every day, she studied her lessons while trying to avoid the older girls' tricks. And even though she felt tired and scared, she never gave in to smoking or drinking. That night, lying in her bed, Amara whispered to herself, "Mama, I will stay strong. I will not let them make me do bad things." Her heart felt heavy, but she also felt a little spark of courage. Even though the days were hard, Amara knew that being brave meant standing up for what was right. Little did she know the bullying would get worse, and she would need every bit of courage her mother had given her to survive at. Grace Boarding School. The next week at Grace Boarding School felt even longer for Amara. Every morning, the alarm bell rang too early, and she had to wake up, wash, and help clean the hostel before anyone else even thought about breakfast. Towson and her friends always found a new way to make her life harder. One morning, Towson whispered to the other girls, "Let's make her carry all the books for us today. She can be our personal servant." Amara's back hurt as she carried a heavy stack of books to the classroom. Some of the girls snickered behind her back while Towson smiled cruelly. During break time, Towson approached Amara with a mischievous look. "You're too serious, new girl. Just try one puff. Everyone else does it. You won't get in trouble." Amara shook her head, holding her book tightly. "No, I told you I don't want to," she said. Her voice trembled a little, but she stood firm. "Then you're no fun," Towson said. She laughed with the others and walked away, leaving Amara feeling a little scared and sad. Later in the evening, Towson and her friends tried again. This time it was drinking some alcohol. "Just one tiny sip," they said. "Don't tell anyone or you'll look weak." Amara's heart raced. She remembered her mother's words. "You are strong and you can say no." She clenched her fists and said firmly, "No, I will never do that. You cannot make me." The older girls stared at her in disbelief. Towson shook her head and muttered, "We'll see how long you last, new girl." Amara felt small and tired, but she refused to give in. After their little meeting, she went to the hostel and wrote a note to Mrs. Adebayo explaining everything that had happened. She hoped this time the teacher would believe her. The next morning, she nervously waited as the teacher read the note. Mrs. Adebayo said slowly, looking over her glasses. "Are you sure this is true, Amara? Sometimes students misunderstand each other." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "I am sure. They make me do everything. They try to make me smoke and drink. I am not lying," Mrs. Adebayo sighed. "Very well, I will keep an eye on it." Even though the teacher promised to watch, the older girls seemed to notice. The bullying became even sneakier. They hid Amara's books, made her carry extra plates during meals, and sometimes tripped her when she walked in the hallways. But Amara started finding small ways to cope. She made a little corner in her bed with her favorite notebook and a pen. Every night, she wrote down her feelings and drew pictures of her home in Lagos, her mother, her father, and the small garden outside their house. Writing made her feel safe, even when the other girls were mean. One day, she noticed a younger girl, Kiamaka, sitting alone and looking scared. Amara remembered how it felt to be new. "Hi," she said softly. "Do you want to sit with me?" Kiamaka nodded, and they shared stories about their homes and favorite games. Amara realized that even in a hard place, kindness could make a difference. That night, lying in bed, Amara whispered again, "Mama, I am scared, but I am not giving up. I will keep being strong and kind." Even though each day was harder than the last, Amara's courage was growing. She knew that one day her bravery would help not just her, but maybe even other girls like Chiamaka. And so, life at St. Grace boarding school continued hard and unfair. But Amara's heart remained strong, shining like a little candle in the dark. Weeks passed at St. Grace boarding school, and life had been very hard for Amara. She woke up early every day to do chores, carry water, polish shoes, and still study hard. Towson and her friends made her life miserable, teasing her, hiding her books, and pressuring her to smoke and drink. But Amara refused. She remembered her mother's words, "You are strong. Say no to bad things and your heart will always stay clean." One morning, after finishing a long day of chores and lessons, Amara decided to talk to the principal directly. Her heart pounded as she walked into the large office, filled with polished tables and chairs. "Mrs. Adana," the principal looked up with kind eyes. "Good morning, Amara," she said. "What brings you here?" Amara took a deep breath. "Madam, the older girls, Towson and her friends, make me do all their chores, try to make me smoke and drink, and even hide my books. I have told my teacher, but they don't believe me. Please, you have to help me." Mrs. Adana leaned back and nodded thoughtfully. "Thank you for telling me. I believe you, Amara. You have shown courage by standing up for what is right. We will make sure justice is done." The next day, the school organized a special assembly. All students, teachers, and even some parents were there. Amara stood quietly in the crowd, holding her notebook close to her chest. The principal called Towson and her friends to the front. Their faces turned pale. "Towson, Afiyama, and the others," Mrs. Adana said firmly. "We have received complaints about your behavior. You have made life very difficult for a new student, and you pressured her to do bad things. This is not acceptable in our school." The girls looked down, fidgeting. They knew they could not lie anymore. As a consequence, the principal continued, "You will apologize to Amara in front of everyone, and you will do community service in the school, helping in the library, cleaning the classrooms, and assisting the younger students under supervision. You will also attend counseling to learn how to treat others with kindness. Taucian swallowed hard. I'm sorry, Amara, she mumbled. Her friends also apologized, some with tears in their eyes. Amara felt a mix of relief and pride. She had been brave, and finally, justice was done. The assembly ended with applause, and some parents came to praise Amara for her courage and honesty. After that day, life at St. Grace boarding school changed. The older girls no longer bullied her, and many students began to see the importance of kindness and courage. Amara continued to study hard, help where she could, and support new students who felt scared, just like she once did. That evening, when her mother called on the phone, Amara told her everything. "Mama, they finally believed me. They apologized, and I'm okay now." Mrs. Nkichi's voice trembled with pride. "Amara, my child, I am so proud of you. You were brave, honest, and kind. That is the strongest thing anyone can do." Amara smiled, hugging her pillow. She knew that life would have challenges. But now she had learned something very important. No matter how hard things get, standing up for what is right and being kind will always make you stronger. And so Amara's first term at St. Grace ended not with fear, but with courage, friendship, and the knowledge that even in hard times, she could shine like a bright light in the dark.